If you want to try some other calculations on your own, and again, I'd hope you'd use Excel and not a calculator, because Excel is much more efficient. If you use a calculator, fine, but it can become involved and a lot of button pushing. But here are some examples where I give a quantity and price pair, Q1 and P1, and a second quantity and price pair, Q2 and P2. I show the percentage change in quantity, the percentage change in price, and the price elasticity. So again, on your own, I hope that you will try some of these calculations as an exercise, just to be sure that we are all on the same page. There's a second way to calculate the price elasticity of demand, and this way assumes that you know the demand function. And if you think about what this way is trying to do, this way is trying to show you that at a point on a demand function, we can calculate the price elasticity of demand. So if, for example, we're looking at point A on the demand function shown, we can calculate the elasticity exactly at that point. We don't need to compare 2 points. We can calculate the elasticity only at a single point on a demand function. As an example, let's suppose that we have a demand function. Again, we'll use the Coca-Cola demand function. The quantity demanded is 30,000 minus 2,500 times the price of Coke. I want to find the price elasticity of demand when the price equals 6. Well, we have a demand function. We know the price at the point we're interested in. We need to first find the quantity when price equals 6. So we substitute the price of 6 into the demand function, and we see that our quantity is 15,000 units. The second step is we need to identify the coefficient in front of the price term when quantity is written as a function of price. We have quantity written as a function of price in our demand function, and we need to find the coefficient, meaning the number in front of the price term. Here that number is negative 2,500. Then what we need to do is we need to multiply that coefficient times the ratio of price to quantity. If you look on the right-hand side of the slide, when price equals 6, the price elasticity of demand ends up being negative 1.00. So when the price of the good is 6, the price elasticity of demand is negative 1, meaning that the good is unit elastic. What happens when the price is equal to 7? Well, the calculation is very similar to when the price equals 6. Here, what changed though? What changed is the ratio of price to quantity. So when the price equals 7, if we apply the formula for the point price elasticity of demand, we get negative 2,500 times the quantity of 7 divided by 12,500. Where did the negative 2,500 come from? That is the coefficient of the price term in the demand function. Where is the 7 from? That is the price that we're interested in. Where is the 12,500 from? That is the quantity associated with a price of 7. If we look at that price of 7, the demand elasticity is negative 1.4. What happens when we look at the price of 5? Well, when the price is 5, we see that the demand is negative 0.714. So the price elasticity of demand is calculable at each point along a demand function, and at those points, all we need to do is know effectively the slope of the demand function, which is actually 1 divided by negative 2,500. In our formula here, it's just negative 2,500. And we need to know the price and the quantity. And we need to multiply the coefficient times the ratio of price to quantity. If we want to see another example, suppose we have the demand function for a random good called good X, and that demand function is equal to 1,500 minus 4 times the price of X. Again, just quickly, what happens when the price is equal to 150? Well, when the price is equal to 150, we see that the elasticity is negative 0.667. What happens when the price is equal to 187.5? Well, there we see that the demand is unit elastic, as the elasticity is equal to negative 1.000. What happens when the price is equal to 200? Well, there we see that the elasticity is equal to negative 1.143. Now note, the price elasticity of demand varies along a given demand curve. When prices are high, what does high mean? It means that we're more than halfway up the demand curve. Demand tends to be inelastic. When the prices are low, meaning that we're less than halfway up the demand curve, demand tends to be elastic. Now there are other demand elasticities that we need to think about, and I just want to briefly talk about two of those: the income elasticity and the cross-price elasticity. What does the income elasticity measure? The income elasticity measures the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in income. It's an attempt to get at how sensitive is quantity demanded to changes in consumer income. If we think as income change, we know demand changes, and this measure is an attempt to tell us by how much does demand change. If this measure is positive, that means that the percentage change in quantity moves in opposite way from the moves in the same direction as the percentage change in income. This is called a normal good. Typically, we think that as income rises, demands rise. Now, that's not always the case. If we think of some goods, for example, generic paper towels, and I hate to say this to college students of any age, but beer. Beer is not a normal good. As income rises, people tend to move away from beer and over to more expensive mixed or hard type liquors. Now, if we looked at the income elasticity for beer, we would find it to be negative. So this number can be negative, the income elasticity. If it's negative, it means that as income increases, the quantity demanded decreases. And this is termed an inferior good. So we have thought about a measure of the responsiveness of demand to incomes, and that measure is the income elasticity of a good. Another price elasticity of demand concept is called the cross-price elasticity of demand. Here we're interested in seeing what is the sensitivity in the quantity demanded of one good to changes in price of a related good. We know that demand depends upon many things, and it may very well be that when the price of one good changes, it causes changes in the quantity of another good. Here, with the cross-price elasticity of demand, we consider the percentage change in the quantity of one good X and the percentage change in the price of another related good, good Y. We're really concerned with the cross-price elasticity of demand as to whether it is positive or negative. What does it mean if the measure is negative? Well, if the measure is negative, it means that if the price of Y increases, the demand for good X decreases. This would be a sign that the goods are complements, i.e. they're used together by consumers. What is an easy example of complementary goods? Things like the price of gasoline and the quantity demanded of cars. We would expect to see that gasoline and cars are used together. So if there's a change in the price of gasoline, we would expect to see a change in the quantity demanded of cars. If gasoline becomes more expensive, we would expect to see a decrease in the demand for cars. What does it mean if the cross-price elasticity of demand is positive? Well, then if the price of Y were to increase, the demand for good X would also increase. This is a case where the goods are termed substitutes, meaning that they compete for consumer expenditures. What types of goods might be substitutes in the economy? Well, there are many, many examples. We tend to be able to identify examples of substitutes more readily than examples of complements. But chicken and beef at the grocery store, to some extent, are substitutes. Cars and trucks are probably substitutes, at least passenger cars and pickup trucks. So the goal today was to look at the price elasticity of demand, to see what it meant to say that demand was elastic or inelastic, and to understand how we could calculate the price elasticity of demand using the arc elasticity and using the point elasticity approaches. We also looked at two other concepts of demand elasticities, the cross-price elasticity of demand and the income elasticity of demand. I hope this was useful, and I also hope that this video is a good supplement to your studying for your economics course.